Hey guys, sorry for the delays. Looks like there's just a few issues with just subs going on and whatnot for the Southern Illinois University, so we'll hopefully have stuff going up in just a little bit, so sit tight for a little bit. Okay guys, so looks like we're gonna get started in just a second. So anyways, there looks like there was a few issues with, subs going on, so I know that this we have this whoever's going to be playing who on the screen right now, but just bear in mind that it might not be 100% accurate. We should have LaBouffe versus Funky. Funky is in fact here, and it looks like that is going to be the first match, but just don't be too surprised if maybe some of the later matches aren't exactly as shown over here. Alright. So we're just getting everyone loaded up in the lobby right now, get all of our spectators and whatnot here. And anyways, so Funky, as it turns out, plays Zerg, and LaBouffe is a Protoss player, as you can see. And Funky has, in fact, played for Southern Illinois University in the past. Looks like he played against a Terran from Western Illinois, so I believe it was this season, and he did end up losing that game, but it's going to be a completely different matchup. It's going to be Zerg versus Protoss instead of Zerg versus Terran, and turns out that Funky himself is a Masters player. Obviously, usually universities will send out their best, will send out their Masters players, because you really want to win this. Every single match in the pools is really important. LaBouffe himself is our resident Purdue player. He is also a Masters player, a really solid Protoss. I've played against him, and he beats me. He whoops my ass pretty hard. So the map itself is actually going to be Zelnaga Caverns. So Zelnaga Caverns, it's a really well-known map. Everyone knows it. It's been around for ages. Wasn't one of the original maps, but still, people have always considered it a pretty solid map, pretty balanced map. One thing that's good to note about Zelnaga Caverns is that the naturals is really hard to defend for Protoss against the Zerg, though, because there's just so many attack paths into your natural, so it can be a little bit hard to take the second, and the third isn't too bad to take after you knock down those rocks, but you have to make the decision between the regular third rocks, or the regular third that's tucked away behind the rocks, and the gold expansion. And that can really be determined by where players are at the time and how they feel, what their army composition is. Do they feel like they can defend? So a lot of things will play into that. So hopefully we'll end up seeing some good games out of both of these two players. Looks like we're probably going to get started pretty soon. LaBouffe was just be right back, maybe using the bathroom really quickly before his intense and epic game. And, hold that thought. Okay. Alright, hey everyone, it looks like we're just about to get started. We're just waiting for the ready from the players, and here we go. So, as I said, it's going to be Funky versus LaBouffe. Funky representing Southern Illinois University, and LaBouffe representing Purdue University. Purdue fighting. And the map is going to be MLG Xel'Naga Caverns. So I was talking about how the natural can be a little bit hard to defend for the Protoss player if the Zerg decides to come in from various attack paths, especially this back attack path here and this back attack path here, also known as Tasteless's secret hallway, and this I think it might be Artosis's well-known hallway, but you know. Anyways, the point is, these attack paths can be pretty deadly for Zergling run-bys. You run your Zerglings in here, you start attacking all the probes of the natural, and then you just run straight back out, or you run straight out this way when the army comes back. So, LaBouffe's going to have to be a little bit careful about that. Not too sure any about LaBouffe or Funky's PvZ style for this matchup, so I won't be able to shed too much light on that. I'm not too familiar with how these players like to play their matchups. But another thing I was talking about was the third, and see, you can either take a third of the gold or this third over here, and this third is generally considered a little bit safer, but you know, obviously the gold has a lot more reward. So that can also play a huge role in deciding, you know, what kind of tech paths you want to go, what kind of army composition you want. If you go for the gold, you really want an army composition that can hold its ground. If you go for this one, you're going to be a little bit more open because you're not defending these opening flanks. But anyways, enough talk about that. So over here in the top right-hand corner, we're going to have LaBouffe representing Team Purdue. And over here in the bottom left-hand corner, we're going to have Funky representing Team Southern Illinois University. So we're just going to see nothing too cheesy going on right now. We don't see any probes or early drones going out to build a proxy pylon or a proxy hatchery. Looks like LaBouffe is going to make that initial pylon just to get that wall going off. As you have to be really Looks like we do have a little bit of lag right now, but it's really important to get that wall off. For anyone that does not play Protoss, or you know, maybe doesn't watch as much StarCraft, the wall off against Zerg is really important, just because if the Zerg decides to go for a lot of early Zerglings, it can just cause so much damage, as the Protoss really need to get up their gateway or their, you know, whatever buildings to actually defend it. So what Protoss ended up doing is creating a wall off and then finishing off with just one Zealot on hold position to stop any Zerglings from running in. And trust me, Zealots can really just destroy the Zerglings if you put them in a good position to, and they don't get surrounded. So LaBouffe's going to be here. He's just going to check out. He's going to be checking out mainly on the gas and the timing of the pool, the spawning pool. So he doesn't see a spawning pool going down right now. So LaBouffe's probably going to be thinking, okay, well, it looks like he's probably just going to be going for hatchery first. Funky not going to be having any of that. He's going to throw down his spawning pool first. Probably pretty used to this pesky pro blocking the hatcheries, and LaBouffe sort of realizing, you know what, maybe I should just go double check, make sure he hasn't thrown down any gas geysers. There he is again, checking those gas geysers. Meanwhile, Funky himself is getting his own scouting in. LaBouffe just, you know, has his gas up, has his gateway going, has his pylon going. LaBouffe really trying to do a good job to block this hatchery over here, but doesn't look like Funky actually expects to get his hatchery down anytime soon. He is letting his minerals build up quite a bit though, and he isn't saving larvae, so he's only going to be able to make, that queen, and I guess it looks like he's going to be making 2 sets of Zerglings. That's pretty safe, and oh my, so this is very interesting. It looks like LaBouffe might have accidentally put his Cybernetics core in the wrong place. And hopefully this does not come back to haunt him, as there's a huge gap right here, and there's a pretty significant gap right here. So LaBouffe did get his second gas, and I'm really starting to get a little bit worried. It looks like he will get that sentry, and the sentry will be able to help out if a bunch of Zerglings come in to delay, any Zerglings by just using the force field on the ramp right here. And LaBouffe finishing the wall off with a pylon. It's a little bit weaker, but I think he's going to really have to. And LaBouffe is getting a little bit aggressive with this initial Zealot, and he is going to get a little bit of smack dab on that Zergling. He's going to get one kill, actually. Meanwhile, he's going to use this sentry to block his ramp. And it looks like Zergling is just going to be dancing around. Funky really doesn't want to lose these Zerglings. These Zerglings two Zerglings are both the cost of one extra drone. That extra drone can really have a pretty significant impact. People often really just don't give enough credit for just having one extra worker. Looks like LaBouffe is actually just going to run up straight in here. He's going to end up losing the Zealot, but he's going to try and get some scouting. He does see that there is no gas down, and that is actually good, but I'm not sure if it was worth sending his first Zealot in for that. The Zealot, while it isn't too useful against the Roaches, it does do a lot of good against these Zerglings. And it looks like Funky actually does have quite a few Zerglings. Here we can see he does have a whopping 10 Zerglings. So Funky may be hoping to put some pressure on with these Zerglings. Otherwise, I might say that these Zerglings would be a waste if he doesn't. Back at home, we'll see that LaBouffe is going for the standard 3-gate expand. A little bit late on the timing for these other two gateways. Usually you want these two gateways to finish around the time that Warp Gate finishes. But it doesn't look like it's going to be too big of a problem. LaBouffe just kind of, poking in the Zelnaga watchtower, make sure that he can deny any scouting that he can from Zerg. But it looks like Funky has a sneaky little Zergling placed right here. Doesn't look like LaBouffe has vision of it. But that does mean that Funky knows the exact timing for this expansion. He will know that LaBouffe is not going for some funky, 5-gate, cancel the Nexus kind of build that we actually used to see OGSMC doing in the past. So that will be good for him. Funky can feel a little bit safe, maybe just teching up. Does look like he's going for somewhat of a Spanishiwa style, which is you don't grab any gas geysers until pretty late. You just keep saving all those minerals for drones. And then when you decide that you want your gas, you take all 4 gas geysers all at once. Surges your gas up. And only at the last second, you had all the time in the world to just get as many drones as possible. And here we see LaBouffe getting the hallucination scouts, actually creating 2 of them. And, I'm not sure how much I like this. LaBouffe does see that the gold rocks are being knocked down. But, hallucinations, they are pretty costly on the mana for a Sentry. They cost 100 mana, and you know what? Every bit of energy really counts, because, as you can see, a force field is 50 energy, so hallucination is actually 2. It's costing 2 force fields. So if he's using up 4 force fields just to get that scout that I think he actually could have done with just 1. It seems like a little bit of waste. Anyways, it looks like LaBouffe going to try and move out, put on a little bit of aggression here. We can see that Funky does in fact scout this, and he's going to run away with those Zerglings. He did lose quite a few, but he does have all these Roaches out. He has 10 more about to pop. I'm not sure how much damage LaBouffe is going to do here, but he is doing a good job force fielding, maybe using a few too many force fields there to wall off just the 1 Zergling. Probably wish that he had gotten maybe a few more. But anyways, it looks like LaBouffe is going to return home. He just wanted to put on a little bit of pressure, make sure that Funky did have to make all of these Roaches. He didn't want Funky to be able to just say, you know what, all these Roaches, I'm just going to make into drones. As you can see here, that's a solid 18, 19 Roaches. And that could have been 18, 19 drones, but looks like Funky's having none of it. He's just going to say, you know what, well, you made me make these Roaches, so I'm going to use them. And great force fields right now from LaBouffe. He is hitting off a good chunk of the army. But it looks like Funky actually does have Bro, and oh no. Okay, good.